Good morning to you once again. I am Priscilla Regina Naloga and welcome to our Kickstarter. We're going to be looking to the incident that has happened in the last 24 hours on Lake Victoria. 25 people so far that have been dead on the lake ever since the capsizing of that boat that was overloaded, and also the bad weather, people making en route Kasenyi landing site. We do want to first hear from the State Minister of Works and Transport, and that is Honorable Fred Amukama, what he says about the situation at hand as far as water transport is concerned, and the role of government in ensuring that people are safe while using this mode of transport.
We condole with the families who lost their dear ones from Chamswa, but we are coming up with a strategy. Uganda Police, Ministry of Works and Transport, and Ministry of Health to reduce on accidents. Number one, there is no any enforcement team regulating the type of canoes, the type of boats that are supposed to go on the lake, but we are coming up with that. Then we have the regulations in place, but we had not implemented them. We are coming to that. And we have procured a number of rescue boats, ambulance boats, which have started supplying, and more are coming. And once we handle that one comprehensively, we shall have a number of accidents reducing. For example, in Chamswa, there is no any alternative road. People must pass on the water. We shall rectify it through the suppliers of the rescue boats, ambulance boats, and intensifying operations on the type of the boats, the canoes, which are supposed to be on the waters.
Okay, there, Honorable Minister talking about rescue boats, making sure that the operations are scrutinized, and the types of boats that we do have on Lake Victoria. For this discussion, I'm being joined by MP Buffoma Islands, and that is Mr. Honorable Robert Migadde. Robert Migadde, you're most welcome, Honorable.
Thank you, Priscilla, and good morning, viewers.
First of all, sorry about what has happened to your people that you represent in Parliament, but I would like you to give me your thoughts in resonance with what the State Minister has just mentioned. He seems to be a reactive solution than a proactive solution.
It's quite unfortunate, and I condole with the people of Kalangala, Buffoma borders, Kalangala, on the waters. And there are many people from Buffoma also in Kalangala. The same way, there are very many people from Kalangala who are in Buffoma. We normally interconnect. I don't know if it was a case of road accidents, whether the minister will say the same thing in case of an accident. That no, we have many ambulances. Having an ambulance is not a precautionary measure. You are being reactive. And in other words, that ambulance may help you to deliver the dead body earlier to the nearest mortuary, because it is still the ambulance that may do it. Or it may actually help you save some lives. But on the lake, the situation is different. For example, this is an accident which has happened at night, and you not stop people from moving at night because it is a means of transport. A boat is a means of transport. The same way planes move at night, because I've had people who don't understand the lake situation saying, why don't boats stop moving at night? To them, that is the only measure. But we have had road accidents during the day and at night. So there are no proposals of vehicles stopping moving at night. And this is not the first accident on the lake. But on a daily basis, people die on the lakes, 1, 2, 3. You rarely hear such reports being mentioned, but when there is a single border accident, just one single border accident, you see police briefing the country that we had a border accident at Coca-Cola, 2 people died. For the sake of islands, you don't hear this. Now, you remember when we had the other scenario, the incident at Mutima Beach, where we lost many of our people. Minister of Works came out at that time, and like what the minister is saying today, it's what the minister said then. We are about to come up with measures.
And that is 5 years ago.
5 years ago. On seaworthiness of vessels, and up to today. But also the issue of life jackets, because those are some of the, actually that's what the minister should be talking about. Life jackets. I've come across many passenger boats when I'm moving in my boat on the lake in the constituency, and you don't see people putting on life jackets. Even where there are a few life jackets, especially in passenger boats, what we call a binara, someone rather sits on that life jacket to comfort
the hardness of the seat.
And the seat is not about to change because we are using wooden boats. So probably, and they normally put on those life jackets as they approach the landing site. So that maybe they may be, arrested by the police. So you can imagine. I've personally seen such scenarios because I've traveled in the passenger boats. So there's some complacency also, but the life jackets are also expensive. So probably one way the minister actually should be addressing is government is trying to review how they can bring down the cost of life jackets.
Yeah, because averagely a life jacket is costing 150,000 Ugandan shillings.
A
good one. And the people in that area of code honestly cannot spend that much for a life jacket. And then the people on the boat can also, I think they also buy them just for for lack of better words. In case they are caught, they have the life jackets, the onus is not on them, it's on the blame is put somewhere else. So how are we going to be able to mitigate that? Because as far as we are here this morning, the life jacket still remains at that cost, and the tariffs, there was a request that maybe the tariffs on the life jackets should be paused for a moment so that people can be able to buy themselves life jackets.
This is what we have always been praying for. When we had the other accident, one at Mutima Beach, this was my prayer on the floor of Parliament then, and commitment was made with Minister of Finance, because they are the ones that exempt, and the Minister of Works, because they are the ones who push for the exemption. But much as the tariff may only be 18% VAT, that one shouldn't be there. At the same time, exemption alone cannot bring down the cost of life jackets, because you understand, the way our people do business here. You may find an item which is 100% exempted, being sold expensively. So exemption alone may only be an opportunity for the one selling to make more money. So probably it needs direct government intervention, like Minister of Works. When you are licensing a passenger boat, this person must know where you are referring him to get the right life jacket and at what price. Because today, if you are to go to Nile Fishing Company here in Kampala and they're selling life jacket at 150,000, there are so many people in the islands who have life jackets that are not actually worth being called life jackets. 15,000, just for the sake of, and the police intercepts them and says, okay, for you have a life jacket of 15,000
without checking the quality,
which
of the
can only
jacket.
save you maybe for 30 minutes if you know how to swim. So, and that shouldn't be, like in the past when we had seat belts, you remember? It was okay, you have, but is it really a seat belt?
Yes.
if it is an element.
And also I've recently come to know that it's not just generic life jackets. It has to be in consideration of someone's weight also.
Exactly.
So there's variations in the life jackets that ought to be on these boats.
There are those for children.
Yeah.
You find old people putting on life jackets for children for 30 kilograms. Someone is 100 kilograms. So this is a sector really which has, you know, it's not only accidents. Even when it comes to other activities on the islands, there has not been close, you know, emphasis by government. Even when there are so many police towing vehicles, when there is this problem, there is a breakdown everywhere. On the islands, you remember when the other boat capsized, it took over a week trying to government to see how they, you know, they pull out this boat. They're using ropes without a tugboat. So even up to today, we still have vessels, you remember?
Underwater.
That are underwater, and we don't have means to retrieve them. So I think haven't paid enough attention. But recently, Parliament approved a loan, which is called maritime loan, for navigation, so that people know the navigational routes, and also to provide early warning systems. That because you know what happens, someone sets off from a running site and the weather is very okay. There are no waves. And it's because that determines how much you load. Say, no, I have not overloaded according to
the weather currently.
Midway, the weather changes. By the time this person set off from the running site, he didn't have any message that the weather is going to change. In developed countries, every hour there is a notice that in the next 1 hour there are going to be waves on the lake, and so someone is either able to reduce on the load that person has, or probably to wait, because you see the challenge with the islands.
So when you say the reduce on load or weight, those are challenging because we are already at sea by the time these changes have happened in weather. So you have to go to a landing site nearby.
No, that is before. If there were warning systems before the person sets off.
Before, all right.
Yeah, but now there is totally no warning, no warning
system. So it's entirely on the instinct of the boat operator.
Yeah, and the challenge is you find one passenger boat going to an island, connecting the mainland and the island. Yeah,
because there's times I've used the boats, and there's just that communication when two boats are, you know, passing each other. They communicate, is it okay, is it clear that side? And that's how they get to know what's, you know, in front of them.
But normally that communication is in line with the security.
Okay.
That is there police that side if I've overloaded, so that I find another angle where I actually not in terms with the weather. But unlike on the mainland, where you have a border, where you can walk, where you can use a taxi, where there are so many taxis that you can stop to continue. On the islands, midway, you cannot pick a border. You cannot walk even the nearest distance.
There are no traffic lights.
There are no traffic lights. So there's only one passenger boat going to that island. So if it leaves you today, you have to pay in a lodge. And in this biting economy, so such may not be possible. So today we should be talking about government also putting in place other vessels. If you have one ferry connecting an island, can't you have, there was a time when we had the smaller ships connecting islands, 5, 7, and they were safer. So that one is not anymore. And that's what we should be looking at, not only to save people's lives, but also to improve marine tourism. Because, Priscilla, you would be very comfortable boarding a ship and moving around different islands. And it is possible. It doesn't call for big investment, but there was a time when Uganda had the UTC buses, and then on the lake, there were government ships connecting, you know, islands. Now it is canoes connecting. So provided we are still using wood with no early warning systems,
Yes.
with the cost of life jackets high, such accidents are bound to continue happening.
Okay. The big question is, how did we move from ferries and ships, government owned, to where we are right now? Because, I mean, we can more or less say this is private sector, and Ugandans are trying to find their own means of navigating within their area of stay. They're not going to be shifted, relocated to anywhere else. And so they're privately coming up with their own boats to be able to, you know, conduct business and support the day-to-day livelihood of people on the islands. Where did we drop the ball from having the ships to the boats?
I think that actually even those ships were not private, they were government. Government constructed the landing sites. One way you can actually facilitate that again, you can construct landing sites, the ship landing sites, and when you move around you see some of these dilapidated landing sites. The ETC buses were not private, these were government. So government needs to invest in public transport. If you, even back in Kampala, if you are leaving everything to private sector, private sector is more interested in profit maximization.
Okay.
So when you have the navigation plans and someone knows, then you're encouraging investment, because someone knows that it is safe, there is a rock here. These are the incentives. They should be giving incentives, encourage shipbuilding here. There was a proposal one time that was going to be in the Jinja, so encourage shipbuilding, because boats are ships are expensive.
Yeah, but you see, all of marine is expensive.
Yeah.
Looking to statistics here, in July alone, we had 2 accidents. One, a boat traveling from Kasi Islands to Katosi in Mukono district, overloaded with foodstuffs. An identified woman lost her life. The gentleman survived. Another incident here, transport boat heading from Chiseva Islands to Katosi, and the boat was carrying 11 people and cargo consisting of 100 bags of charcoal, 40 bags of silverfish, and personnel belongings. That already sounds as heavy weight there. So the cross between bad weather, overloading, and accidents on the lake. We also are being joined by Woman Member of Parliament Kalangala, and that is Honorable Helen Nachimoli. Honorable, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much.
Well, we are saddened by the news that brings you to studio this morning, but we have to mitigate a way forward. With road accidents and with the people that you represent, what do they present as challenges of navigating their livelihood on water?
For starters, I would want to say sorry, and I want to condole with the people who've lost the families that lost their relatives on the water. Actually, they are saying it is an estimate of 20, but they are also not sure, because there is no inventory. When these people are getting onto a boat, they don't register anywhere. It is just the people who they stay with that say, you see, I think somebody left the island and went on that boat. That is also a challenge, but I condole with the families, and it is so saddening that government has stayed quiet about the water transport system. Some of the challenges are the fact that the islanders have been neglected by the government. I found my brother here, Honorable Migadi, talking about the fact that we had a number of ships. Back then, in the Men's regime, we had these ships, traversing different islands. We didn't only have one ferry or 2. When you look at Kalangala district has 84 islands. 62 of them are inhabited, and we don't have inter-island transport. We only have ferries crossing from Masaka to Kalangala. Then we have one ship crossing from Entebbe to Kalangala. And by Kalangala, most people, when you say Kalangala, they think it is the major island, sorry, the entire island. So when I talk about Kalangala, it is Bugala Island, only one island out of the 84. So government has only catered for this one island, where they have the district headquarters, they have a health center, they have some of the amenities. So these islands have been neglected. We had a ship in 1996 actually it stopped functioning in 1996. Another drowned, and since then we do not have. It was called Babas. It was coming from Luzira to the islands of Kome Islands in Mukono, Bukasa Islands, Jana, and then, you know, it was traversing all these other islands whereby people used to put their cargo on there. It was safe, even amidst the strong winds. It was safe for people to travel. But trust me, at this rate, people are confused. They do not know what to do. You see, we have, I'm sorry, I'll talk so much about Kalangala because that is where I hail from. If you have 84 islands, 62 are inhabited, and you only have 8 islands, 8 that have health centers, it means these other people will have to look for these health centers in quest for, you know, good health. Somebody has been told to go to a health center for, they need to use,
they have to get on the boat,
yes,
to get to that health center
there. So if we have these, you know, these ships that are supposed to move around to help these people go around, somebody cannot fail to move. Even when we say you don't move at night, this person has gotten sick. They are looking for medication, they're looking for treatment. You cannot tell them to sleep. They have to go and travel at night in quest for medication or treatment. So the reason as to why some of these people even move at night, because it happened at night. I think in the wee hours of the night, around 4 or 5, that is when the accident happened. But it will not stop these people from moving, because they're looking for either food, treatment. They want to travel from this island to another in order to take their food stuffs. They want to move from here to NTV, to Masaka, or to wherever, in order to, you know, access the main island to get different services. There is no way they are going to be stopped, you see, and this is the only way they can travel. We don't have planes in the islands. The best way was for government to give us ships, but we don't have them. Even the ferries, we are struggling. We have told them time immemorial, and they're saying, you see, I even had, it is so upset that I even had one say, the islands, those Kalangala Islands, they have a few people. Those ones are negligible. You can do with, you know, we can come after or later. And it was a minister saying that. It was so absurd.
Okay.
Yes.
Indeed, it's absurd. Of course, what we're picking out of from the submission so far is the reality of the matter is road transport is the same as water transport. Everything ought to be the same, therefore, in ensuring that there's safety, there's security, and there's operationalization that is streamlined. As it is for road transport, ought it be for marine transport. We'll be returning right after this break with more of this conversation.